Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving headfirst into a really interesting question.
Yeah. What's that?
It's from Mutha Nagavamsi in a recent LinkedIn piece. Will AI kill DevOps troubleshooting? Really?
Ah, right. That one sparked some discussion.
Exactly. So for you learners listening in, maybe you're wrestling with cloud complexities or, navigating microservices, or just curious about where TAL is headed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is kind of your fast track to understanding a really important viewpoint and maybe why it's hitting home for so many people.
So we're digging into Nagavamsi's article.
Yep. We're unpacking their arguments, looking at the article itself, their background, their interaction with the tech community,
Okay.
to see why they believe, pretty strongly actually, that human skills, human smarts, are still going to be crucial in DevOps troubleshooting.
Even with all the AI advancements.
Right, even in that pressure cooker environment when things go wrong.
Yeah.
So our mission, if you like, is to get past the headlines and really understand the thinking behind this perspective.
Okay. I'm with you. And the thing that really jumps out first in Nagavamsi's piece is how they describe those awful 2 a.m. production outage calls.
Yeah.
They call them battlefields for creative problem solving. It's pretty evocative, right?
Yeah, it really is. You can almost picture it, the frantic keyboards, the hushed voices.
Exactly. And it makes you think, why start there? Why focus on that specific moment?
Right. What's the significance?
Well, I think it's because those high-stress situations are like the ultimate test.
Where theory meets reality.
Totally. All the neat plans just collide with the messy, unpredictable nature of complex systems breaking down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did find it funny when they said everyone suddenly becomes a world-class detective.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
humor there, but it really rings true, doesn't it?
It does. The pressure's on, and people suddenly find this deep well of problem-solving ability.
Nagavamsi even has that funny image of the crazier ones acting like they've spotted a dinosaur in the surfer room.
Right. Which, it adds a bit of needed lightness.
Definitely.
But it also points to how weird and unexpected these problems can actually be.
And that connects back to their own experience, doesn't it? They mentioned years spent, physically wrestling with servers in data centers.
Mm-hmm. Where even the printers have attitude.
Right. So you realize this perspective isn't just academic. It's forged in the trenches. It comes from hands-on experience.
That real-world grit, yeah. It makes their main point feel much more grounded.
Which is?
That only good troubleshooting can help you in such production outage scenarios. It's not just about following steps, it's something deeper.
An intuition, maybe?
Yeah, and that leads right into how they describe DevOps troubleshooting. They call it an art, the science of diagnosing issues. And this one's key, the soul of DevOps.
Okay, let's unpack that. An art that suggests creativity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with the unexpected.
I think so. Flair, intuition, maybe, not just logic.
And the science of diagnosing issues, that's the methodical side, the analysis, the investigation.
Yeah, the detective work we talked about.
But the soul of DevOps.
Uh-huh.
That's a strong statement. What do you think they mean by that?
Well, it makes troubleshooting sound fundamental, doesn't it? Like it's the absolute core of what makes DevOps work.
The collaboration, the learning,
Yeah.
the resilience.
Exactly. It's the mechanism that keeps everything running, adapting, improving. It's not just fixing bugs, it's central to the whole philosophy.
Right. Okay. So setting that stage, troubleshooting as this vital, almost artistic science.
Mm-hmm.
Nagavamsi then tackles the big AI question.
Yeah, they don't ignore it. They acknowledge the progress in automation, AI ops, and self-healing systems.
And AI ops, just for clarity, is using AI specifically for IT operations tasks.
Right? Correct. Using AI to automate things, spot problems, maybe even predict them. And these tools are getting better. They can find anomalies, predict failures, auto-fix more and more issues.
Which leads to that seemingly logical conclusion Nagavamsi brings up.
The dinosaur analogy again.
Yeah, that human troubleshooters might end up like a museum piece or a portable radio in a world of smartphones. It feels like a natural progression for many people.
It does seem plausible on the surface.
But, and this is the core of it, Nagavamsi says very clearly, I think the answer is and no.
Right. That's the pivot. And the why is really interesting.
Go on.
Their argument is basically that each time AI automates one class of problems, new, more interesting problems emerge.
So it's not static, it's dynamic.
Exactly. The landscape keeps shifting.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Like technological whack-a-mole.
Huh. Yeah, kind of. You automate one thing, but then The systems themselves, these distributed systems, microservices, cloud-native architectures, they just get more complex.
More interconnected.
Right. And
Yeah.
that complexity breeds new kinds of failures, unexpected interactions, things AI wasn't necessarily trained to look for. It's not just one server misbehaving anymore,
It's the whole web.
the whole web. And that's where Nagavamsi's butterfly effect analogy comes in. It works really well here.
Explain that a bit more. How does it apply?
Well, you know the idea. A butterfly flaps its wings, causes a hurricane somewhere else.
Right. Small cause, massive effect.
Exactly. In these distributed systems, a tiny glitch, maybe a misconfiguration in one small service.
Can cascade.
Precisely. It ripples out, causing failures in other services that seem totally unrelated at first glance.
So you can't just look at the final error message?
Nope. You have to trace that initial flutter, that first small anomaly across all the connections, the networks, the dependencies, to really get the picture.
Which leads to that other metaphor they use about capturing the butterfly.
Yeah, that the butterfly must first be gently, quickly captured and carefully nourished before we can truly begin to understand its mysteries.
Okay, translating that. Capturing and nourishing means
It means carefully gathering the right data, understanding those first subtle signs, and then painstakingly piecing together the chain reaction to find the real root cause.
not just the symptom.
Exactly. And it's often messy. Hidden links, weird interactions.
Stuff that's hard to predict.
Very hard. And Nagavamsi argues, pretty convincingly, I think, that this deep, nuanced understanding, grasping the context of that whole butterfly effect, that's tough for AI.
At least for now, they add.
Right, at least for now. Think about maybe a network setting change in one microservice that suddenly slows down database access for a different service. AI might see the slow database.
But miss the connection back to the network change.
Potentially, yeah. Especially if it's a novel situation. It lacks that broader context a human engineer brings.
Which leads us right back to the human element. Nagavamsi's big line, AI systems need human friends.
Us.
Yeah.
It's about partnership, not replacement.
They argue AI is good at the what, finding the error, the latency spike, but often struggles with the why and the how, the reason it happened, the sequence of events.
And that's where our human skills come in. Experience, pattern recognition, domain expertise, these become critical.
Especially for the weird stuff, right? The things the AI hasn't seen before.
Definitely. That human ability to spot subtle patterns, honed over years of dealing with different problems, different systems, it's invaluable. We see things an AI focused on its trained data might just miss.
And Nagavamsi also stresses that troubleshooting isn't just technical.
Right. It's communication, too. Remember the soul of DevOps idea? This fits right in.
Okay, how so?
Well, think about explaining a complex problem to stakeholders, people who aren't technical.
Yeah, that's a skill in itself.
Or collaborating with your team, combining different insights. And crucially, learning from incidents so they don't happen again. These are all deeply human activities.
Empathy, negotiation, building consensus, you can't just code that.
Exactly. But let me ask you this. While Nagavamsi champions human intuition, are there things AI is just better at right now in troubleshooting? Even just the what?
That's a fair question. I mean, surely processing massive amounts of log data.
Absolutely. AI can sift through logs way faster than any human, spot anomalies, find correlations we might miss. It's brilliant at detecting known patterns, triggering alerts based on rules.
So for speed and known pattern detection, AI wins.
Often, yes. In terms of raw data processing and spotting deviations, AI has a clear edge. But connecting those dots in new situations, understanding the why, figuring out the business impact, talking to people, that's still very much human territory.
Right. Okay. So Nagavamsi wraps it up by saying, essentially, that while the tools will evolve, the need for us humans, the curious, creative problem solvers won't disappear.
It's a strong belief. And they make it personal at the end, don't they?
Yeah, addressing the reader directly.
Yeah.
At least in my eyes, and I hope in your heart, too. Tell me, what do you think?
Which really underlines that this isn't just a technical debate, it's something people feel strongly about. And judging by the comments on the article,
A lot of people agree. It clearly resonated with the DevOps community.
it certainly seems so. So if we boil down Nagavamsi's argument,
Before it.
it's that, yes, AI is transforming DevOps, automating parts of troubleshooting, no doubt. But the sheer and growing complexity of modern systems, the absolute need for that deep contextual understanding to trace those butterfly effect failures
Right.
and the ongoing value of human intuition, communication, experience, all that ensures skilled humans remain essential. Not just relevant, but essential.
And I keep coming back to that idea of evolving complexity.
Yeah.
It's like, as soon as AI gets a handle on one type of problem,
Something new and even trickier pops up.
exactly, requiring that human ingenuity, adaptability, curiosity, the very things Nagavamsi highlights.
Which poses a really important question for you listening, something to chew on.
Okay, what's that?
How do you see the role of the human troubleshooter changing in the next few years? Even if we accept the core need remains, how will the job itself evolve?
What new skills might become vital, especially as we work with these AI tools more and more?
Exactly. Think about your own work, your own experiences. How do you see this playing out?
That's a great question to leave things on. Really makes you think. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Mutha Nagavamsi's perspective. Lots to consider there.
Definitely.
Until next time, keep thinking, keep exploring.